Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, and today I'm going to talk to you live about the summit that took place in Alaska between President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. I think this is one of the most consequential meetings that Donald Trump is probably going to have this year, and particularly in this, shall we say, in this tenure in Trump 2.0. Uh, it was very interesting, very different. So, for example, uh, uh, I will show you a couple of clips uh, in a few minutes, but let me first give you what really happened. It was an extraordinary meeting, no doubt about it. If you contrast the way Donald Trump met with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, in the White House. Yes, he met him very early on, but they humiliated J.D. Vance and Trump humiliated, scolded, berated Zelensky. I mean, I'm sure he has never been humiliated the way he was humiliated in the White House by Donald Trump. But now, if you look at the way Putin was received, it's amazing. I mean, no leader, Trump has met so many leaders. He's met Starmer, he's met Narendra Modi, he's met Netanyahu 2 or 3 times. He met the Prime Minister of Japan, he's met leaders from European Union, he met Merz from Germany, but nobody was given the fanfare and a flyover that Putin got. Putin got a flyover on his head, a B-52 and F-22 Raptors. I will actually show you a clip with that. And it is absolutely stunning as to how he was received as a peer competitor, not as someone who is wanted by the International Criminal Court. But anyway, Donald Trump likes to host people who are wanted by the International Criminal Court, like Bibi Netanyahu, whom he has already hosted 3 times. But the amount of red carpet and the attention that was given to Putin was very stunning. So anyway, they met for about 2.5 hours. They were apparently a 3-on-3 meeting. So from the United States side, Steve Witkoff and Marco Rubio were in the meeting. It was very interesting. J.D. Vance was not there. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and the Vice President, they were supposed to be in a subsequent meeting, but actually one meeting of about 3 hours happened, 2.5 hours to 3. Putin then had a press conference with Donald Trump, but they did not take any questions, which is so unusual, so unlike Donald Trump. No questions taken. People were shouting, reporters were shouting questions, but he did not answer any of those questions. So they basically issued 2 statements. I will summarize those statements and then I will reflect upon it. I have some interesting observations to make about it. I found this quite amazing. To me, this is a major victory for Putin. Apparently, the media coverage in Russia is going crazy, wall to wall, about how Putin was received as a very important peer competitor, as an equal by Donald Trump. No head of state got the kind of respect Putin got, clearly, and that you could see. So, on that note, let me just share this video with you, and then I will proceed further on this. I will go further with, if I can find it, and then we will see. So Putin really got a lot of great attention, so to speak. This is not what I'm looking for. So, so one thing that I must tell you is this, that there was no announcement. Donald Trump was so careful, so unusual in this entire process. It was so unlike Donald Trump. The way he went about it, he usually likes to instantaneously brag, and he likes to instantaneously take credit for developments. None of them were happening this time, and so Donald Trump was not taking any such credits. So I have this video here. And so take a look at it, and you will be stunned as to how he was received by Donald Trump. It is so unusual. So that's a B-52 escorted by four F-22 Raptors. B-52s are not parked in Alaska; they are somewhere in Wisconsin or Idaho. So that was brought in for the explicit purpose of signaling extremely high respect to Putin. So, first thing that I want to say was that this was a very different kind of a meeting. And Donald Trump was being very careful even during the press conference. So to me, all of that was very, very impressive. But the first immediate takeaways right away, let me tell you that, was there was no announcement of ceasefire. So they did not reach any ceasefire. There was no announcement that they are near to ceasefire. Donald Trump did not even mention that. There was very little discussion about Ukraine, about what Ukraine wants, what about Europe wants. But Putin, in his comments, he did refer to the fact that that Ukraine wants peace and Ukraine wants security guarantees, which he said is important, and we will. But both of them did say that there were agreements, that they had agreed on many things. There were a few disagreements and one important disagreement. I don't know what that important disagreement is. And then Donald Trump announced that he would then consult with Zelensky in Europe. I think once the Europeans probably are going to leak out what the contents are, or maybe even Donald Trump might shoot a Truth Social post to let us know exactly what they had agreed upon. But it was very clear that Putin did not give an inch. And it was also very clear that Donald Trump also did not move, that there was some place at one point where they disagreed. That's why there was no major announcement. But the fact that both did say that there were agreements, which is very interesting. So I'm going to read out some of the comments that Putin made, and some of the comments that were made by Donald Trump to give you an idea about what really went on in the press conference. So one thing was that both of them said this was kind of productive meeting. So it was not a failure. And to me, that was very interesting that they were all looking at it as if it was a success. I just want to let you know that after I finish my presentation, I will be happy to take your questions and your comments, but let me just run through what I want to share with you. He said, this is what Putin said. He says, at the same time, we are convinced that in order to make the settlement lasting and long term, we need to eliminate all the primary roots, the primary causes of the conflict. So basically, Putin is simply referring that in order for the settlement to be long lasting, and the primary roots, which means Russian security, Russia's demands for territory inside Ukraine, and of course the expansion of NATO, which is a source of insecurity for Russia, must be addressed. So that's one important point he tried to make. And then he said, we said it multiple times to consider all legitimate concerns of Russia and to reinstate a just balance of security in Europe, in the world on the whole. I agree with President Trump, as he has said today, that naturally the security of Ukraine should be ensured as well. So that's an important concession that Putin said. I agree with President Trump that the security of Ukraine should be ensured as well. Naturally, we are prepared to work on that. So, as far as the Europeans and Ukrainians are concerned, they need not worry. It is very clear that Donald Trump did bring up the issue of Ukrainian security, but there is no mention of the territorial integrity of Ukraine. Putin then also says, I would like to hope that the agreement that we have reached together will help us bring closer that goal and will pave the path towards peace in Ukraine. So, this is something which was very interesting. He said, I would like to hope that the agreement that we have reached together. So, he's talking about how they have already reached an agreement. And to me, that is very impressive that they have agreed upon something. At least that's what Putin thinks. We expect that Kiev and European capitals will perceive that constructively and that they won't throw a wrench in the works, that they will not make any attempts to use some backdoor dealings to conduct provocations to torpedo the nascent progress. So basically, he says we have come to an agreement towards a peace, and I hope that Europeans and Ukrainians don't do something shady and stab this agreement in the back. So he's basically clearly understands that Europeans and Ukrainians are probably not going to like what they have agreed upon, because at the moment, like Russia, Europe is also trying to make maximalist demands. Then Putin says, overall, it's very important for our countries to turn the page to go back to cooperation. So, this is another important point. He wants to turn the page. So, instead of Russia being the target of sanctions from the West and the United States, he wants to turn the page, and he wants to, I mean, he's quite poetic here. He says, not far from here is the international date line. I think you can step over literally from yesterday into tomorrow. And I hope that's something that will succeed in this political sphere. I, then he thanks President Trump for all that he has done. But then he repeats again, I expect that today's agreements will be starting point, not only for the solution of the Ukrainian issue, but also will help to bring business like pragmatic relations between Russia and the US. So this is an interesting thing. He came with a lot of business people. So it was not just about Ukraine, it was about broader issues. So it's about economic sanctions, about economic trade, and about economic relations. And so that is an important point that he's also trying to say. Trump then comes, and so it was interesting to see that Putin spoke first and then Trump spoke second. Trump says, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound. And I'll say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of, so this is a very interesting statement. Unless Trump is just throwing words around, for him to say that there were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we have made some headway. So there's no deal until there is a deal. So basically, this is the key point, that there was no deal, but they seem to be agreeing upon many things. And then, of course, Trump says that he's going to call up and talk to Zelensky. He's going to talk to NATO, to other European leaders. And then he continues to say, but we had an extremely productive meeting and many points were agreed to. There are just very few that are left. So he's quite repetitive. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. So there's one issue, one red line apparently that Donald Trump was not able to cross and Putin was not willing to concede. I wonder what that red line is. Does that have to do with NATO's presence? Does it have to be with European security guarantees? Does it have to be with cutting down Ukrainian forces? I don't know what that point really is, or whether Trump actually demanded that Putin pull back, because Trump seems to be okay with conceding 20% of Ukraine to Russia. But I don't know what that point is. So I'm hoping that in any tweet or something like that, maybe the Europeans and the Ukrainians will leak what that key point is. But then it ended very well with Putin saying that we will meet again and hopefully next time in Moscow. Trump was taken a bit by surprise. He said that's an interesting thing, but he does recognize that him going to Moscow is probably going to be a very dangerous thing for him. There's going to be lots of criticism, but that is an interesting point. So that is the summary of what really happened in that pronouncements. So here are a few points. Number one, that Putin was really treated like as if he was a very important world leader, which he is, but he was not treated in a cavalier fashion that Trump has reserved for Zelensky or others. So that's the one point. So far in this term, no foreign leader has been treated as well as Vladimir Putin was. Trump even addressed him with his first name. So that is one important point. The second point is that Putin did not lose anything. He was not forced to accept a ceasefire, so there is no ceasefire. The war is going to continue from as we speak. So Putin is going to go back and he's going to start hammering Kiev while Trump is still talking to them. So number one, no ceasefire. Number two, no new sanctions in spite of no ceasefire. So that is the win, the big win that I'm talking about for Putin is this. Not only did he get this big diplomatic win from being, the West has been trying to make him a pariah, but now he's at the center of the world politics and he's pushed Europe out to the margins. So that's one big win. The second big win is he goes back with no ceasefire, no additional sanctions. Now, that is an amazing thing. Trump maybe tomorrow could change his mind and said, oh, I'm so unhappy with what happened yesterday. Looks like Putin is not willing to cooperate. and so I'm going to put more pressure. Now, there I fear his idea of more pressure on Putin could be more sanctions on India and maybe other countries who are buying Russian oil. So we will see what happens. It could also be that he decides to send some offensive weapons to Ukraine, but that could really be the end of this beginning. Trump and Steve Witkoff and others have worked very hard to bring it to this point, and they have taken a lot of heat and criticism from Europe to be able to do this. So he's not going to just destroy it. And the fact that he was able to control himself today during the press conference, it was very interesting. He didn't just stand there and decide to take questions and ignore Putin. He was so deferential and respectful to Putin. It is just stunning to me. So in that sense, I think it was a big win. It was a big loss for Europe, definitely, in Ukraine. They were marginalized. None of their issues were mentioned in either of the two statements. And I also think that from tomorrow onwards, Donald Trump is going to start putting pressure on Europeans and on Zelensky to accept many of the conditions that Putin may have put forward. So that is another important thing. I do want to share with you a quick video of something else that Donald Trump said towards the end. It's a very short video, so bear with me. And then after that, I will be happy to take your questions and your comments. But before I can share that video with you, I need to find that video, and I think I just found it. Kismat, I'm talking to people. Can you come back later? Okay, here it is. So I hope you can see this statement that Trump made.
I would say a couple of big ones that we have. I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate. And I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell him what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed. And President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much. And we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. No. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I can see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you.
You can see the body language of Putin. He's so relaxed. He's trying to be charming. And so all of that, to me, is that it's very, very challenging. And so anyway, as I said, my conclusion is that this is a big win for Putin and probably a small loss or a significant loss for both Europe and Ukraine, because it seems that America and Russia seem to be more or less have turned the page, as Putin says, but they also seem to be on the same page on many issues. Clearly, there must be one big issue, and that probably is the security guarantees for Ukraine, which means that whether American troops or European or NATO troops will be on the line of actual control inside Ukraine, guaranteeing that no more further violence takes place from the Russian side. And it could also mean that giving weapons to Ukraine so it can defend itself again in the future. So I don't know what the big line is. I'm sure that within a few hours or tomorrow, it's already very late here. It's about midnight. So maybe early morning when Donald Trump wakes up, we are going to see perhaps some Truth Social posts, which will give us further insights into what's going on. But anyway, for those of you who are watching in India, I'll be doing again live at 9:30 a.m. India time in this same reflections, but I'll be doing in Hindi. For those who are watching from India, there are a couple of things I do want to point out. If you notice, Tulsi Gabbard was not here. The CIA director, who is technically below her, Radcliffe, was there, but she was not there, at least, and her name was not mentioned. And the only two other people who were actually in the meeting with Putin were basically Steve Witkoff and Marco Rubio. So anyway, thank you very much for watching Conversations. Do subscribe to the channel. There don't seem to be many questions. If there were, I would be happy to answer. Vijay, good morning to you. Harpo Singh, sir, you're looking very smart. Thank you very much. Actually, I'm quite tired. It's midnight here. I was waiting, to get the transcript at least, and I thought there would be some more leaks as to what that particular disagreement was. But anyway, so thank you very much, Harpul. And if war is going to continue, what will happen to tariffs on India? Oh, that's a very good question. So I think that unless there is a ceasefire, I'm not very sure that tariffs are going to be lifted for India, the 25% additional tariffs. If India does continue negotiating on the free trade agreement, maybe it could get some reduction in the first 25, which are the reciprocal tariffs. But I also think that uh, Trump is not going to put any more pressure. That seems to be very clear. He seems to be happy with this meeting, even though he was, being quite responsible and disciplined in his response, in his comments, not taking the press. He did not take any press on the plane. It's a long flight back from Alaska. He went early in the morning. He did look a bit tired, but anyway. So that was an interesting thing to me as to what will happen. If the meeting had gone really very bad, then you could say that perhaps he would then have ratcheted up pressure on Russia, and that one way to do that would be either to give more weapons to Ukraine or to increase pressure on those who are trading with Russia. So that's where that danger for India remains. And but right now, I think for a couple of weeks, the ball is going to be in the European court. If the Europeans drag their feet in getting back, the longer the Europeans take in responding to whatever Trump has to offer, the longer the war will continue. Because once the Europeans agree or come back with a counter proposal, then Trump is going to take that back, I guess, to Putin. Or he might say, no, this is not good enough. You need to make more concessions. So whatever they give to Putin, to Trump that he likes, which he can then go to Putin with it. Until then, you can expect, I think, that Russia is going to simply amp up the military pressure. I expect tremendous attacks on Ukraine very soon from Russia to put pressure on Europeans to put up or shut up, literally. So those are my comments. And Naveed Akhtar, good morning to you too. Hormone Ko, do you think Europe will take steps towards making itself self-reliant? Oh, that's a long thing. They have been reliant on the U.S. since before the end of World War II. In fact, the U.S. bailed them out in World War One and then again in World War II. So it's been nearly 100 years that Europe has not defended itself. At least in World War II, the British could fight. But now it'll take a long time. Germany has started spending a little bit more on defense. Macron keeps talking about it, but has not done anything about it. Starmer has said he's going to raise the budget. So, yeah, UK has gone up above 2.5%. The 5% that Donald Trump asked is really not exactly 5%. I think it's 3% plus 2%, and that other 2% could be anything really, healthcare, etc., disguised as national security spending. So I think it will, in the short run, Europe cannot become self-reliant. You'll have to probably at least 4 or 5 years of investments. And then what do you mean by self-reliance? Just increasing the budget, buying more weapons from the US, and then building bigger armies, or by self-reliant you mean building their own weapons? And that is the second level question. Shinli, victory of Russia, glory of Russia. Well, well, I can say this much, that this was a good day for Putin, not a bad day for Trump, but definitely it was a bad day for Europeans. I'm sorry, I, I feel sad for Ukraine, but I have no sympathy for Europeans. Thank you very much, Suman Prakash. And if you have any questions, Suman, I'll be happy to answer. 80% of India's GDP is dependent on domestic consumption. So, okay, so this is a distraction. So, why should we care for Trump's threats? Oh, well, you should ask the government of India whether they care or not. I can tell you this much, that 50% tariffs could reduce India's GDP growth by 0.5%. That's number one. Number two, bad relations with India uh, with the US can result in many things, such as uh, look, the India-US trade in the service sector is about much more. So the total trade is much bigger than the 130 billion. So bad relations with the US trade relations can hurt India in the long run. It will also downgrade India's image in the world. Uh, okay, Sunil Kumar, no B-52, B-2, sorry. Yes, of course, B-2, sorry. The same bombers, Sunil, you're right. It's the B-2, the same bombers that were used against Iran just a few weeks ago. Apparently, the United States has used 18 of them. I think the US has about 30 of them. They are very expensive, long-range bombers that can keep flying for hours and can carry huge payloads. So if you want to drop a really, really big bomb, that's the plane that you use. And it looks pretty ominous, it looks pretty ominous. It looks like the Batman's silhouette. TW, I think this is a great opportunity for us to solidify the BRICS and expand our export. Solidify the BRICS. Solidify BRICS means you become subordinate to Russia and China. The last few years, India has done its best to try and undermine. Himanshu Prasad Dash, how are you? To undermine BRICS. So I'm not very sure that. Plus, trying to get too close to BRICS could make Trump further angry. See, right now, the kingpin, Trump doesn't care about South Africa. He's already lambasted South Africa very strongly, even though the president came here, how he surprised and insulted the president of South Africa. So he doesn't care about South Africa, and what he thinks about India. Now, as far as the others are concerned, Brazil, he's been putting a lot of pressure on Brazil. And with Russia, he's so respectful to Putin. And with Xi, he's so accommodating. So if Trump turns against BRICS, he will target India, Brazil, and South Africa, not Russia and not China. So BRICS will have to be a bit cool. They should talk less, do more. That is what I'm saying. Instead of making big pronouncements, they should take genuinely big steps. And for that, India will have to find some accommodation with China. Aziz Ahmed, आपका यार उर्दू बहुत छोटी लग रही है. Please come to the other show, which will be at 12 o'clock on Khanversations 2025. Aziz, wherever you are, you can see that. So there I'll be doing the show in Hindi, Urdu, then we can talk. Siddharth Khan, time to Europe to get North European Treaty or NATO. I don't know. NATO is there, North European Treaty, or without the US. Okay, North European, not North Atlantic. Yeah, that would be very interesting. See, there are lots of countries who would not be interested in being part of an alliance without the US, especially European countries. So I wonder what is going to happen going forward. But yes, Europeans will have to find some way of becoming more self-reliant, which means they'll have to spend more on defense. And so that will either impact their welfare state, or they will have to really jig up their economies. They can't. Their economies are not doing well. 1% growth rate for Germany. And nobody is even growing at 2% in Europe. So how are they going to get the money for defense? Maybe they will shrink their welfare state. I don't know. All this talk about free education, free healthcare, free this, free that, early retirement in Europe, all that will have to go. So we'll see what happens. Harpul Singh, sir, India-US relation would look like for long-term. India-US relations, I think, in the long term are going to be okay. I did a show on my Hindi channel, India channel. If you are seeing this, you can see that too, in which I spoke with Ambassador Ketan Shukla about the long-term relations, and both of us feel that India should not make big shifts because of Trump, especially away from America. Look, one big achievement recently was Nisar, the satellite that ISRO launched into space. It is a big achievement for India. It is one of the biggest satellites that takes care of the environmental crisis. But if you look at that, the budget was 1.5 billion and 1.2 came from NASA. So the US is a great resource for India, and India should not move it away. It's quite possible that in a couple of years after Trump's term is over, I mean, the way Donald Trump is going at home, he's probably going to become a lame duck president by November next year. Then he won't be able to do much if Democrats take either the House or the Senate or both. Then after that, if he continues to do like he's doing right now on the domestic front is really bad. If he continues with that, then the chances of J.D. Vance becoming president are unlikely. So by 2029, India can hope to have much better relations with the U.S. So I think India should ride it out rather than make some big moves. Uh, Siddharth, we don't care about Trump. I thought India was crazy about Donald Trump. There are people in India who were worshipping, literally worshipping him. They were doing havans for his election victory, Abke Bar, Trump Sarkar, all those things were there beforehand. And now they feel slighted, but don't confuse Donald Trump with the United States. Trump is here for 3.5 more years. The US is going to be here, hopefully, for a long, long, long time. Ashok Sahu, if the war stops, and I'm sure the first thing Putin will want is give me back my $300 billion that you have frozen, plus get the sanctions off me. If the sanctions are lifted, and I'm sure that is what Putin would want, and he's smart enough to, he talked about it even in this meeting. So if those sanctions are lifted, then automatically secondary sanctions on India will go. So the 25% will go, the second 25. The first 25, India will have to negotiate with Donald Trump, the bilateral trade agreement. And it's not an end, it can change. In fact, Scott Bessent, the Commerce Secretary, said that the tariffs can be negotiated any time. Yes, the deadline is there. That's the second 25. The sanctions are going to kick in by 27. The sanctions are serious. Even the sanctions that were imposed on Nayara, the refinery, they are beginning to hurt. Take a look at it. I was going to do a small show. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Nayara is the refinery which European Union sanctioned. It has 7,000 gas stations, petrol pumps in India, and they are all beginning to suffer. The supplies have gone down. They are not able to export. So the sanctions that will come on India after August 27 can be hurtful. So India will have to be very careful, and we'll see what happens after that. Yes, but not anymore after this second term. Yes, of course. I mean, Trump is already 6 months into his term. Siddharth, you're right, 3.5 years. Ashok Sahu, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your support. And so if there are no more questions and comments, I will be happy to take a break. But I must say that I did not expect Trump to treat Putin so well. I mean, giving him a flyover and all of these things are very important. So it was very clear that Trump was also trying to impress Putin. And it's like saying, that you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you go away on some semester abroad, and then you come back and you're like, where are we? Are we at the same spot? I mean, does she like me still, or has she made other friends? So it was something like that with Putin and Trump. And I think the first 2.5 hours of meeting went so well. I think the meetings went well up to a point, then they stopped. And I think both sides realized that there is no point in going further, because before the meeting, they had they had kind of said that the meetings could go for 6 7 hours. So they had planned a brunch and a lunch and a dinner meetings, and there were lots of businessmen from Russia. There were other people from here. There were, I think, he took a big contingent, Donald Trump too. So there were going to be more meetings, but so far, the reports that I am seeing is only one meeting, and then Putin went away. So there is graves of Russian pilots in Alaska from World War II era, and so he went there and he, paid homage to the pilots, to that Russian pilots, and so he went. It was very interesting, even though Russia and the US are so far apart, Putin did remind that at one point they are just 4 kilometers apart. So that the closest point, Russia and the US are just 4 kilometers apart. There are two islands, one belonging to US, one belonging to Russia, which are just 4 kilometers apart. Siddharth, I've been saying this from the very beginning. Uh, I used to say this, that there are two things which will give us very clear idea of what India-US relations are like. One is to what rate Trump will impose on India. That we know, 25% reciprocal tariffs. It is the worst in South Asia. Sri Lanka got 20, Bangladesh got 20, Pakistan got 19. So that was one indication that all is not well. Like if you remember, Three Idiots, all is well, all is well, all is not well in this case. The second indicator will be if Trump comes to India for the Quad summit. So the India is the host, and India has already invited Donald Trump. They can't disinvite him, especially at this point. So they have already invited him. Last month, there was the foreign ministers summit for Quad, and Dr. Jaishankar was here, if you remember. And after that, Dr. Jaishankar said that he had also again invited President Trump for the Quad summit of heads of states, and he had accepted it. That Trump had officially accepted the invitation to come to India. It's a different thing whether he will come or not in September. Meanwhile, there's a lot of preparation going on for a big Donald Trump visit with a large contingent of business people, etc., to China. So that 90-day extension that China got, I think maybe Trump wants to announce a deal from Beijing. So we will see what happens. So 90 days. So this is August, September, October, November. So I'm wondering whether Trump may combine both the trips. So he goes to Beijing, then on the way back stops in India for the Quad, or comes to India and then goes to Beijing. We will see. And we'll also see whether he stops in Islamabad if he comes to South Asia. So that's a big question, Siddharth. We will get a very good sense of India-US relations, plus also Donald Trump's geopolitical thinking, because he's so focused on tariffs and the economy. Does he care about the Indo-Pacific? Does he care about the Quad? Does he care about the security challenges posed by China? Those are the questions that we need to address. Hormone, how will India pursue Quads if they are leaning towards China? That's a very good question. You can't be part of Quad. Now, with Donald Trump, you can't be part of Quad as well as part of BRICS at the same time. One reason why people were not liking, if you talk to people off the record, I spoke to people from Brazil and other places who are part of the Quads, and they are very unhappy with India's role in the past 2 years. India has been very supportive of the US. It's like India is like America's mole inside BRICS and SCO. The way India completely undermined the SCO's condemnation of attacks by US and Israel on Iran. Uh, Iran is a member of SCO, but India basically stabbed Iran in the back in SCO. So there was all this talk about how India perhaps is a misfit. I actually did a show saying whether India should leave BRICS and SCO, because it was more of a problem than an asset. But now that Trump is treating India badly, so India is now out of this club and it wants to be important and part of BRICS as well as SCO. We will see how those things go. But your question is very valid, Hormone. And this is something I think people must be discussing in the Ministry of External Affairs, that to what extent should we push our excitement, because Modi is going to Beijing for the SCO summit on 31st of August. And all the photographs and statements and tweets that will come out of there, I think somebody in the White House is going to watch that meeting very closely. And they will see what, not just because of India, but also because Iran is part of it. And now America has another spy in SCO, which is Pakistan. So I'm sure the Pakistanis will brief Trump before and after the SCO summit. So we will see what happens on the 1st of September and 31st of August when Prime Minister Modi goes to Beijing. So it looks like all the comments have gone. Once again, Ashok Sahu and Suman Prakash, thank you very much for both of your gifts. I welcome them. And for those of you who are interested, please come back in another 15 minutes on my other channel. If you want, I can give you the link to my other channel in India, where I will be doing this similar show. I won't say the same things because I'm not. This is not a scripted thing, but similar things. And then I'll take all the questions in Hindi and Urdu. This is the link. Ahmed Jamal, it appears Trump wants Russia to be aligned with the West because of its geography, mineral wealth. Trump is attracted to power and tough guys. That's why he liked Modi, and that's why he likes Xi Jinping, and that's why he likes Putin, and that's why he likes the Hungarian president. These are all tough guys, Bolsonaro, etc. So that is one thing. He doesn't like the sissy leaders of the Europeans, like Trudeau, for example, or Macron. I once did a show called Three Idiots, in which I basically talked about Rishi Sunak, Macron, and Trudeau as three idiots. So yeah, Trump would have agreed with me wholeheartedly. Anyway, Noor Amer, Assalamu alaikum. Please come to my other show. Here is my link to it. That will start in 17 minutes. Take care. Thank you for watching Conversations. Agar aap logon ne, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Like this video. Press the bell icon. And then I'll see you when I see you. Take care. Bye.